listening to the Fifth Down Fantasy Football Podcast with Johnny Slopes
top 3 to 5 pick next year.
and Camilla.
For the value you could have gotten at Ryan at,
I almost had 5,000 yards, but no, you don't want me. What you're saying is Wayne Gallman is the Dustin Funches of running backs?
I guess you could say that. I guess you can put me down as a saying that.
We now bring you to the Fifth Down.
What is up, Fifth Downers? I'm your host, Johnny Slokes, and you're listening to the Fifth Down Fantasy Football Podcast. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, K-Mill.
Hey, what's up?
Week 2, are you feeling the blues today? Going into week 2?
Man, I'm excited for it to start, man. I had to deal with, a whole week of like losing, and I always hate that feeling.
Yeah, get that bad taste out of your mouth. We just had a Thursday night game. What a snoozer. Any major takeaways from that game for you?
Yeah, two. Number one, man, Cincinnati's offense is in a horrible spot. I think that those offensive line departures are really hurting the team this year. And Andy Dalton, man, he's been looking rough. He looked a little bit better last night, but man, he looks rough. And then the Houston offense, aside from that one 49-yard touchdown, from Deshaun Watson, it was kind of they didn't do much either. And Lamar Miller just can't seem to find a fucking running lane. So
I could summarize this game in one sentence. The Texans were bad, but the Bengals were a little bit badder. I know that's not a word, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, considering what we fucking watched.
I also noticed Lamar Miller losing a lot of carries to Foreman. I mean, that could be a foreshadowing of things to come. It just seems like he was. What did he get? Lose like 12 carries to Foreman? I mean, that's a guy that I always thought could potentially cut into his workload, and we kind of seen it a little bit last night.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. I kept checking, and I was like, because I was looking at it, I wanted to see what Foreman's snap count was at, because I kept looking at my phone. I was like, how many carries is he at? And I thought at one point he was at 10, and I was like, man, that's not good, because last year all of Lamar Miller's value was really generated off of his volume, because he didn't get a good yard per carry average. So that's got to really hurt, and that's got to sting for Lamar Miller owners.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, Deshaun Watson didn't really look that hot. He seemed like he was kind of struggling going through his progressions a little bit. It seemed like he had tunnel eyes that were just focused in on DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I guess that's good for Hopkins owners, but overall for this offense, it's not a good thing for things to come.
Yeah, he was trying to do a Russell Wilson impression, and it just kind of seemed like he was running right into defenders and stuff. I mean, like I said, that he's going to have his rookie mistakes and stuff, and I think overall he's going to end up having a really nice pro career. That's just my opinion, but and he showed some flashes too. Like that 49-yard run was nice, but I guess we'll see.
Fifth Downers, are you guys 1-0 after week 1? You can also brag about your teams on www.draftingsleepers.com, a forum where you can go and interact with other fantasy users and get a kind of good feel where everyone else is at. Also, Fifth Downers, please leave us some rating reviews on iTunes. And, I've been wanting to give away a T-shirt, and I feel like this is the month. Do you have any pressing news that you heard about this week?
There's speculation about Adrian Peterson's future with the Saints. I mean, I think that it's pretty clear to us that he just doesn't have it anymore. Or at least it's clear to me. It's been clear for the last 2 seasons for me. But I think that he's finally over the hill, and we can move on from that. And I really like how Alvin Kamara was getting mixed in there when the Saints played on Monday night. So I think he's an excellent bench stash. Just an FYI. Yeah,
after seeing AP explode on the sideline at his coach, my corresponding move was Alvin Kamara. I think that, he's 215 pounds, and it looked like they had other plans with him than just using him as a pass catcher. He was getting some carries in between the tackles, too. So John Brown out for week 2 with a quad injury. Could actually land him on IR. He's been dealing with this throughout the offseason, and now all of a sudden now it's an issue. a little bit worrisome. It looks like they're going to take it easy with him for this week, though.
I will tell you who this does look good for, Larry Fitzgerald, because the Cardinals literally have probably nobody else. Actually, they do have nobody else. So,
yeah,
good for Larry Fitzgerald owners.
You know, maybe J.J. Nelson can step up. You know, well, we'll get into the Cardinals when we get to them, though. Marcus Wheaton, highly questionable for week 2 with a finger injury. I only bring him up because of how banged up Chicago's receiving core is. This is more of like indirect news for Tarek Cohen, because I think they might want to use him a little bit more in the slot. Another guy, looks like the Eagles' backfield got a little bit lighter this week. Donnell Pumphrey is out indefinitely with a torn hamstring, so I mean, it isn't like he had a big role on that offense anyhow, but at least there's one less body in that backfield you got to worry about if you're like a Blunt owner. Did you hear about Jay Ajayi? He's having some knee soreness, and this is a guy that, you know, had some knee concerns coming in to the draft. That's why he fell down to the 5th round. That's got to be a little bit concerning, at least, you know.
Yeah, I would be too. And, you know, speaking of knees, we haven't touched on this yet. Sam Bradford with those knee issues, and the really disheartening news is after his amazing performance on Monday night, he now his knee that he's had surgery on twice is now he's having problems with it. And right now they got an MRI. It came back clean, but they also said since it was so swollen, it could have been inaccurate. So I mean, I don't know if you maybe have him in a dynasty format or something, but that's kind of got to be a little worrisome.
Not worried about it. Heard there's no structural damage, so I'm not worried about it. It seemed like it was heavily inflamed. I'm not worried about it. Everything I've heard is he will play. But he's another one that made the injury report. C.J. Fedorowicz placed in IR. The Texans have 3 tight ends that went down, and they're looking at Gary Barnidge. That could be an interesting little ad.
The Barnidge dog.
I know he's not your boy, but he's on your team. Devontae Booker returned to practice. He's not close to returning, but it's at least a little bit heartening to hear. You know, he's getting in some reps there. Kerwin Williams was named the starter, but the Cardinals also re-signed Chris Johnson, so that muddies up that backfield. Is there any other news or anything else you want to get out there before we jump into things?
Let's jump right into it.
All right, so we'll jump into the first game here. Cleveland going on the road against Baltimore. The over and under is at 39. Baltimore is 9-point favorites. Now, this is a game where I don't really see Baltimore throwing the ball a whole lot again. I mean, this is a team that led the league in passing attempts the past 2 seasons, and last week they ran the ball 40 times against Cincinnati. And I know, Flacco he's coming off an injury this offseason, so maybe that has a little bit to do with why they're having this run-heavy script. I could see both Buck Allen and Terrence West having another heavy workload in this game, especially with the game script in their favor.
Yeah, I would think so too. My money's on this is going to be mostly like really a run. Well, not so much on Cleveland's side, but definitely for Baltimore. I think that this game will ultimately be a pretty close game. Honestly, that's my personal prediction. So,
well, I mean, Cleveland is getting 9 points, so I mean, I kind of would like to take the points if I was betting on it, but I do think that Baltimore is going to end up winning this game. If we're going on, we're going to stay on the Ravens side of the ball. It appears like Macklin is the wide receiver to own here, but it also appears like it could also be like a different guy on a week-to-week basis. Not quite sure. It's like a mixed bag of tricks here. I think Macklin's more of like a wide receiver 3 this week, and Mike Wallace and Perriman are your dart throw wide receiver 5s if you're not playing them, And other than that, that's pretty much all Baltimore has to offer.
Yeah, I would think that for me, just from my standpoint, looking at this Baltimore offense, I'm maybe the only one I'm even considering, as far as wide receivers go, is maybe Macklin, maybe in your flex. But you have to be pretty desperate to put him in your flex, or you would have to have a pretty bare bench to do that, I would think, in at least season-long formats. And then, the run game, obviously, you're going to want to plug in Karen Swiss, like we were just saying. But really, other than that, I don't like any of those options. At this point, in a 10 or a 12-team format, you should have better options.
I mean, there's a league where I picked up Buck Allen right off the waiver wire, and I have to start him. So I'm okay with that. I think both of the running backs are more of like a RB3 like dice roll, because you could end up getting the short end of the stick out of that committee. But I think that they're going to have a run-heavy enough game script where they can both get decent work. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. We have Cleveland. Now, this is a team that looked a little bit better than we expected going into last week. I'm still not really feeling any Browns as starters. Maybe Corey Coleman. Baltimore has a stout front seven, and it's looking like they're going to give the Rook the business this week. I know I think both teams will struggle to move the ball at times. And, this is not a team where I'm excited about owning a lot of these players. I just dropped Duke Johnson because, I know I might be pulling the trigger a little bit quick on him, but, there is a negative correlation between mobile quarterbacks and receiving backs, and I just don't think the slot position is a very valuable position in that offense. So, I'm not looking to start really Duke Johnson, and I feel uncomfortable about starting Isaiah Crowell as well. This is, like we said, this is a out front seven. I think the only guy you could probably argue about is maybe Corey Coleman. I think he'll get a lot of targets again, but, what's going to be the quality of those targets?
Right, yeah, and I'm actually having a dilemma with that in my season long, whether I was going to start Corey Coleman or not, because I do think that he's obviously going to dominate the target share there. As far as the running backs go, I'm on the same page as you. I think that you can't really trust Isaiah Crowell this week. I'm not liking Duke Johnson Jr.'s prospects too much either. But I totally agree with you with everything you said. I think Corey Coleman's really the only one that you can even fire up, put him in the flex, I think.
All right, let's go over to Tampa Bay going on the road. Tampa Bay on the road against Chicago? I thought they were at home.
You know what? I don't know. Wow. Okay. Here, let's check.
Tampa Bay is playing against Chicago. The over and under is 43, and Tampa Bay is favored by 7. This is a game where Tampa Bay they're coming off of a long off season. What do you think this running back committee is going to look like for the Buccaneers?
I think it's going to be heavy Jaquiz, man. Jaquiz in my pants, Rodgers.
Yeah, that's who I'd have to peg down. I think he's more of like an RB3, but he has a lot of upside because this could be a game where he can get a big workload. I do see Tampa Bay easily taking this game from Chicago. Chicago is a tougher than advertised team, but I think ultimately they're going to falter in this one. We're excited. We're still excited about Mike Evans. How are you feeling about Deshaun Jackson, Kano?
For me, I've always called him one name, and I'm going to continue to call him that name. He's a home run hitter. Either he's going to his floor is dangerously low, so if you want to plug him in, you're either going to get a big long touchdown, and it's going to get you your fantasy nut for the week, or you're going to get a big goose egg. So kind of prepare for something. He really doesn't have like a safe floor, I don't think, in my opinion at least. I don't know.
It appears like an okay enough matchup. But, if I'm a Deshaun Jackson owner, I'm making sure he's playing a team that I know is going to get beat, that is prone to getting beat deep before I'm plugging him in. I think Chicago has a good enough secondary where I would try to deter away from starting Deshaun Jackson if I have to. I view him more as like a wide receiver 3 that you can plug in that has a lot of upside.
Same, definitely. Yeah, he's a guy that could go. Like him and Martavis Bryant are kind of cut from the same cloth. That gives you an idea. We'll cover Martavis Bryant later, but yeah. I think
Bryant's a lot more talented.
Same, definitely same.
Let's go over to Minnesota going on the road against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 6-point favorites at home. The over and under is at 45.5. this seems like a game that could have some fireworks. I mean, if anything we've seen against New Orleans indicates that maybe Minnesota has a really good offense, but we're going to pump the brakes on that a little bit because it was against the Saints, you know. Sam Bradford, though, I got a little nugget about Sam Bradford. The last 10 games that Sam Bradford has played, he's averaged 270 yards and a touchdown and a half a game. And if you ask why you're only going back the last 10 games, that's because Minnesota replaced their offensive coordinator last year around that time. So since they had a new offensive coordinator, he's looked pretty good.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen, and he's a good. It's the first time I've actually liked Sam Bradford in a system. Like, the Rams didn't utilize him properly. It didn't seem like. The Eagles definitely didn't. I mean, that was horrid what they were asking him to do. And then now it seems like Minnesota is actually playing to his strengths, and he's got a lot of talent around him. So I honestly want to make a hot take right now. I say Sam Bradford finishes the top 10 quarterback this year if he can stay healthy all year.
You can't say that. You can't have the same hot take that I have.
I'm sorry, man. I'm going to steal your hot take.
No, I don't. I mean, he could definitely be top 10. If you think you could be a quarterback one, why not say top 10? You know.
Right. Exactly.
Listen to some of the defenses that the Minnesota offense will be playing against in the coming weeks. This week they have Pittsburgh. Week 3 they have Tampa Bay. Week 4 they have Detroit. Week 5 they have Chicago. Week 6 they have Green Bay. They do have Baltimore week 7. Week 8 they have Cleveland. Week 10 they have Washington, and they play the Rams week 11, and then to finish out the season they play the Lions, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bengals, the Packers. Like, none of these are scary defenses to me. Like, these are all defenses that I feel like he can succeed against.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I absolutely think that, and so I'm going to stick to that.
You know, what did you think about Dalvin Cook in his debut last week?
Well, I like what I saw, and you know what? You're not wrong a lot of the time, Johnny. But I think you had Dalvin Cook wrong. I think that the experts were on the money by drafting him or saying you should draft him in the 3rd round. I wasn't really high on Dalvin Cook until I actually saw him play, and he was impressive. He was continually finding running lanes. He was hitting that edge routinely. I really like him season long.
And, Minnesota, they actually do have a lot of new starters on that offensive line. 4 of the 5 guys up front were not on the team last year. So, I mean, it's not the same line from last year. I think Dalvin Cook is more of like a high-end RB2 this week. He plays Pittsburgh, who's a little bit better against the run than, say, most teams. But I think he'll find enough running room in this one. I think he'll be, like I said, like a high-end RB2. You can plug him in comfortably. But my question is, though, what happened to Latavius Murray? I mean, they paid him all this money, and then now he's not seen because Dalvin Cook just ran away with it. He just dug Latavius Murray's grave and buried it too.
Yeah, personally, I was never really high on Latavius Murray's prospects this year. I was not going to touch him with a 10-foot pole in any league. So, but yeah, no.
We said this at the end of last year that he's hashtag not good at football.
Hashtag not good at football. Exactly.
I mean, this seems like an offense where this is most of the targets are gonna funnel to a two wide receiver system. You got Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen both coming off monster games. I think I might have hit a gold mine here with Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen, he looks like he could be like Jordy Nelson on steroids. They moved him to the slot, and while that might cap his touchdown upside a little bit, he could see an increase in volume from last year. And this is a team that, they look pretty good. I'm not going to go on a whim and say that they're some great offense by any means, but you don't really need to have a great offense to have a 2 wide receiver system where you just funnel all the targets. I mean, look at Denver.
Yeah, exactly. It can work. That the whole number 1 receiver on a team thing is dead now. You can totally have 2 functionable, productive receivers in a system. And I think that you're right about Thielen. I've been looking at it a lot. I really like him, and where you could have got him in most drafts this year was amazing value. So he's definitely a guy that I recommend for the flex this week. I think this is a good matchup for him. Pittsburgh has definitely a burnable secondary, in my opinion. So I would definitely plug both of these guys in with ease.
Yeah, to me, they're both wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 1 upside. It would not surprise me if they both, by the end of the year, finish close to wide receiver 1 numbers. I mean,
yeah.
I could even endorse somebody owning Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen on the same team and playing them at the same time. Just because you know one of them's going to score a touchdown, the other one's going to get the yards, and if one does get hurt, that makes the other ones more valuable. So it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. It's like the same concept as a running back handcuff almost, but with more upside, I guess.
Yeah, and you can, I guess let's even throw Kyle Rudolph in there too. I like him as well. He's a guy that had a little bit of question marks because of how awesome of a season he had last year. Will we see a production dip? And it still looked like he was involved in the offense. If you have him, you're starting him. Anything else on Minnesota, or let's go on to Pittsburgh?
Move to Pittsburgh.
All right, Pittsburgh. Are you starting Ben Roethlisberger against Minnesota?
I don't feel good about it. If he's my only quarterback on a team, then obviously I'm stuck with him. But honestly, I think there's a lot of good streamers this week. I really wouldn't see a reason why you have to start Ben Roethlisberger this week, and I personally
I'd feel fine with it. He's playing at home. He's playing at home. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, we know that we know he's a homer.
Yeah. I mean. He's got an entire arsenal on him. He's got Martavis Bryant. He's got Le'Veon Bell. He's got Antonio Brown. I mean, with these guys,
the killer bees.
The killer bees, man.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell. I read something interesting about Le'Veon Bell. There were some snaps that he would normally play last week that he didn't play. Like when they would go out to 4 wide receiver sets in the past, that would typically be Le'Veon Bell that would go out there as a 4th receiver. That's no longer the case because who they're employing instead of that was Juju Smith-Schuster in 4 wide receiver sets. I think that might take away a little bit of his reception work if that continues to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's actually a nice observation. Because I didn't get to watch this game on Sunday. I just kind of read about it, but yeah, that's an interesting observation. I mean, they want to get that rookie his reps. He's a very promising rookie, but yeah, that does kind of cut into Le'Veon's workload. But at the end of the day, you're not sitting Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you have to be yeah, it would be asinine not to.
Obviously, Antonio Brown did Antonio Brown type of things last week. You should still expect the same this week. I know he might see a little bit of Xavier Rhodes on him, but Antonio Brown's a guy that's really hard to guard, and they like to move him all over the field, so good luck. All right. How you feeling about Martavis Bryant today this week?
He's a guy that I love. He's explosive. You never know. I mean, his ceiling is so high. I mean, man, it's like you almost have to start him every week because of the ceiling. He sort of, to me, has like a really low floor when he doesn't get involved. But there was a couple. He was getting a little involved last weekend, and I like him this week. I think that it's honestly a crapshoot with Martavis Bryant every time I've owned him. So.
If Antonio Brown, if he draws a lot of coverage from Xavier Rhodes, that's good for Martavis Bryant. I think that could end up him being potentially like that X factor in this game. Because I do see this game coming down to the wire. I'm going with Pittsburgh because they're at home. But it's going to be a good game to watch, I think, on TV. Jesse James, you excited about Jesse James?
Oh, I mean, I'm not buying on that. No, I'm not.
Well, because everyone picked him up on waiver wires, you know he's only getting like one touch for 5 yards.
Yeah, exactly. I hate how some people are just not able to weed through what's, waiver wire gold and what's not. And Jesse James to me is a total fluke. I mean, he had a 2-touchdown game. Get the fuck over it.
Hey, he's got some value because he's in a high-powered offense, but I think it'd be more of a headache to own.
True, yeah. I just don't even want to deal with that.
All right, let's go over to the New York Jets going on the road against Oakland. Oakland's 14-point favorites at home, over and under set at 43.5. I'm going to go with the under on this one. This is a game where it screams Marshawn Lynch, because when you see a spread like that, you got to think that it's going to be a heavy run game script for Oakland. I'm really interested to see what the backfield touches is going to look like in this one, because they did remember them saying they want to limit Marshawn Lynch's touches. How many touches is he going to see over to a guy like DeAndre Washington or Jalen Richard? I want to see this.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see, but you're totally right. I mean, Marshawn Lynch to me is a lock RB1 this week. I think he's going to shred this New York Jets defense. And honestly, you got to think about it too. If the Raiders go up by a big lead early, they're going to be running out the clock. So I mean, maybe they're going to switch beast mode out, in and out. But I think ultimately he's going to have a very, very, very productive fantasy day, especially if they plug him and play him in garbage time.
Well, I mean, let's just save a lot of time with Oakland here. If you have an Oakland player, you're starting them. If you have a Jet player, you're probably the only Jet player that's even owned in most leagues is probably Bilal Powell. And I think I still feel all right playing him this week. It's against Oakland, and I know the Jets, they might be losing, but at least he's still going to be on the field catching the ball. I'm doubling down on Bilal Powell this week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely think that he's the only player that's being startable. Matt Forte better not be any lineups anymore. He's done over the hill. # bad at football now. But Bilal Powell is the only one I feel confident in, because especially if you're in a half-point or a full-point PPR, because you got to think, even in garbage time, he's going to get work done. So if he gets, somewhere around like 8 catches, you're still getting a decent week out of him. So yeah, he's the only one that I'm even thinking about starting for the Jets.
Can we have a moment of silence real fast?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sorry, I needed a moment because in a Superflex league, I'm forced to start Josh McCown, and that's sad.
Oh, you poor soul.
Now let's go over to Miami. They're going on the road against the Chargers. The Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. The over and under is set at 45.5. There could be some fireworks in this one. Phillip Rivers, I got locked in as a starter. You gotta feel very confident if you have any Charger player this week, besides maybe a guy like Antonio Gates. But Miami is a good defense to play your players against. Yeah. I like Phillip Rivers. It looked like he was trying to get the rust off of Keenan Allen. He looked like he was kind of force feeding them a little bit. Maybe sometimes when he shouldn't. I think that's going to be a continuing trend we're going to see all year long, though.
Yeah. I'm hoping and praying he can stay healthy.
Firing him up. Like we said, Melvin Gordon, you're firing him up. Keenan Allen, you're firing him up. Tyrell Williams, do you feel better about him after seeing him in Week 1 action?
Not to the point where I think I would feel comfortable. I mean, unless he was it would have to be, I have to be down to my last couple options to put him in the flex this week. I don't think that it's a bad move, but I just think there's a lot better names out there.
I'm more excited about him than you are. I think he's a wide receiver 3 this week. I think he's a wide receiver 3 with upside. There is enough volume in that offense for him to be successful again this season. So I'm all on Tyrell Williams. Hunter Henry didn't have a target last week. What the fuck's going on, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to say that Hunter Henry gets a touchdown this game.
Well, he got 0 targets last week. Antonio Gates got 3. It was against Denver, tough defense. Hunter Henry's a guy. I think he's gonna have a rebound week. He has to, right? He got 0 targets.
Yeah, I mean,
literally anything is better.
Literally anything. 1 target.
Let's go over to the other side of the ball. You're not starting Jay Cutler. Don't think about that. Jay, he has some knee soreness. I don't think he's not in jeopardy of missing any time. You're obviously, if you drafted Jay, you're firing him up against the Chargers this week because this is the first time you get to play a Dolphin player.
Yeah.
The Chargers, this is a key injury that they had. Jason Verrett is not going to be able to go for week 2. He's having some knee pain in his surgically repaired knee. This is a guy that I kind of slighted to guard Jarvis Landry a lot, So maybe that opens things up for Jarvis Landry a little bit. I got Landry and Parker both as wide receiver 3s this week. If you have to plug in a guy in your flex, go for it. I mean, it's not as tough of a matchup as it appears. It's just I think a little bit tougher for Parker though.
Yeah, but I'm still, me being a Parker owner, I think I'm still firing him up this week. I mean, you got to think about it, man. Especially because this Miami defense is going to get shredded like Swiss cheese. I think if Miami goes down early, you got to think that Jay Cutler is going to regress to his old ways and start, throwing deep balls, and he's going to, the garbage time is going to be real. So I have no problems with starting Parker this week. I think that he's actually a guy that could. I think he's going to be the most productive player on this Miami team all year.
You're not all worried about the Dolphins' offense overall with Cutler at the helm?
No, because I think that if Cutler's going to force feed anybody, he's going to force feed it to Devontae Parker, as long as he can stay healthy.
Julius Thomas, he's got some history with the coach. Are you expecting anything out of him in this one?
Let's just put it this way:
put on a hold.
Yeah, put it on hold. Let's wait and see.
All right, let's go. Let's move on to San Francisco going on the road to Seattle. Seattle's 14-point favorites at home. The over and under is at 42. Normally, with a game script like this, you're looking at the running backs, but the running backs have a big question mark on this team. It does look like Rawls is going to draw the start. Lacey had his chance, failed miserably. It still looks like even if Rawls gets the start, though, he's going to be splitting some work with Chris Carson. So, I mean, are you on Rawls this week?
Yeah, actually I am. I'm on Rawls. I was thinking about it a lot, and I was giving it some thought, because I actually thought about putting out some offers for Rawls, because you can get some guy peanuts for him, and they'd be like, yeah, give me Rawls, whatever. But honestly,
trust me, if you try to trade for a Seattle running back, they're probably going to accept it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. And I was thinking about it, and honestly, it wasn't too long ago that Rawls was just, this really violent runner. I know he can't stay healthy, but at the same time, I mean, man, he was putting out some productive fantasy weeks, not 2 seasons ago. So to me, I think that if he can replicate that and he can run away with it, because it's wide open to me, Eddie Lacy is he's a footnote. He's done. I think he's going to end up getting released at some point. Chris Carson to me, still a rookie. I think he'll get mixed in there a little bit, but I think if Rawls shows early production, I think he's going to be a mainstay in this offense, and if he can stay healthy. So I think that there's actually a chance that Rawls could be a really heavily productive fantasy player this year. And I know you want to laugh at that. And I know it's kind of a hot take, but I think it could happen.
I'm saying if you are a CJ Pro-Size owner, just hold him right now. Don't you dare drop him. I know he wasn't used very much in week 1. Still believe and hold on to him. Doug Baldwin, he only had 4 targets last week. Good thing he caught them all, 63 yards. But they have to get this guy the ball more this week, right? I mean, he's too talented not to.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was I was noticing because I watched that game live. It was a lot of game script based thing, I think, because Doug Baldwin was pretty much getting all the coverage, and so that was leaving openings for Richardson and Lockett. So I'm not worried about Doug Baldwin going forward. I think that this week is going to be because a coming out party basically this season, and I think that he can get a score or two in this game. I like him for that at least. But I have no worries about Doug Baldwin going forward. I think it was just game script based last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to think Russell Wilson wasn't particularly good at all either, so that probably had a lot to do with it. I like Doug Baldwin in this one. I also like Paul Richardson in this one. Jimmy Graham. I like the weapons on this one. If we go over to the other side of the ball, you're not playing Hoyer. You're probably not playing any of these guys, really. But I do want to mention in deeper leagues, this could be a guy that's on the wire that could have some consideration. This is only if you're like in like 16-team leagues or something like that. George Kittle is a tight end. This is his rookie debut. He had 5 catches. For them to give that guy that many targets as a rookie in his first game, that's pretty appealing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you probably don't know a whole lot about this dude, but he's an athletic freak. Like he could be like a Vernon Davis-esque in that offense.
I just want to mention one more name too while we're at it. Well, you brought up the sleepers thing. Matt Breida. I think that he could be worth it. A nice stash on your benches, just because we all know that Carlos Hyde has trouble staying healthy. So I'm just saying, you heard it here first. If you're in a deep league, I think that he could make a worthy bench stash.
Are you starting Carlos Hyde if you have him?
Oh man, that's tough. Chances are, if you have Carlos Hyde, I mean, shit. Yeah, I mean, I think I would give my seal of approval in the flex, just because if San Francisco is I'm not going to start.
that was a great take.
Yeah, you know what, man? I just I was trying to spin it the way that I could do it. I don't own Carlos Hyde in any leagues, but then I put it in context of would I actually start him, and I was like, no, I wouldn't.
Exactly. Let's go over to Dallas. They're going on the road against Denver. The disrespect. Dallas is the favorites on the road. 3-point favorites. Over and under set at 42. I am not only going with Denver in this one. I would take Denver straight up in this one. Fuck the points. I don't need the points. I think Denver's going to smother this offense. I really do. They have a corner that's going to give Dez some issues. I think Chris Harris, he's one of the best slot corners in the game, so don't worry about Cole Beasley. This is going to be some tough sledding, I think, for Dallas in this one. Obviously, Denver's going to have to get the run game going like they did last week, though.
Yeah, Denver's going to it's going to be a lot of I think the game flow is going to be a lot of the same what we saw from the San Diego game. I'm the same on you. I'm a Denver fan. I'm going to be a little homer here, but I'm same. I will take Denver straight up in this one. I think that the only Cowboy I'm giving my seal of approval on is obviously Zeke. Denver's defense. The only way you can really hurt them is with the run, and I think that Zeke's going to have a nice productive week. But I think he's really going to be the extent of that Cowboys offense. I'm not starting Dak. I'm not starting Dez. I'm definitely not starting Cole Beasley. Jason Witten, I don't know how I feel about him, but I think you're right. I think this defense is pretty much going to smother the receiving core of the Cowboys.
And that's why I would go with Witten, actually. Because I think that they're going to get – this offense is going to get smothered, but they can't smother everyone,
Right, exactly. And they can't erase everybody. And then moving to the Denver side of the ball for me, I think that this Cowboys defense really doesn't scare me. They did a good job against New York, but that's also because Eli Manning somehow the last couple seasons has forgotten how to throw the football. So,
they had no Beckham. They have the worst running back tandem in the league. I mean – We could go on, but we'll keep it at that.
Yeah, we'll keep it at that. And just to go in more detail, I think that I really like Demaryius Thomas this week. I think that him being a big physical wideout, I think he's going to do some damage this week against a weak secondary for the Cowboys. And I even think that Emmanuel Sanders gets in there too, but more so I'm higher on DT this week, obviously.
Yeah, I'm looking at DT as like a wide receiver too. I'm kind of backing off on Sanders a little bit right now. I got him as a wide receiver 3. How do you feel about C.J. Anderson? This is typically a defense that doesn't give up a lot of yards, but this is also a team that tends to play with the lead a lot, so people aren't really running the ball against Dallas.
Yeah. I think that CJ gets going in this one. I think that surprisingly too, last week Jamal Charles showed that he still has good knees? ? I mean, he doesn't have good hands because he fumbled, but I mean his knees held up for one game, so that's kind of good news. And I think he was doing good when he was switching in there. I think it's going to be like a kind of an 80-20 thing with Charles and Anderson, but I liked what I've seen out of it. I think that as the season wears on, I think that CJ is going to get more and more. I think I'm plugging CJ in this week.
Well, yeah, I got CJ Anderson in. It's got to be encouraging what you've seen from him last week. He had 20 carries. If he can keep getting a workload like that, I mean, he could be a steal. I mean, that's a good workload. Despite he did cede over 10 carries to Jamal Charles, but this is a game where they just ran the ball a lot. I'm not looking too much into that because Jamal Charles really didn't get a whole lot of pass work either. C.J. Anderson, I think he had like 2 or 3 catches. So, I mean, I'm not really looking too much into that. I'm still feeling comfortable about DT and feeling comfortable about Sanders. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this game, or can we move on?
No, we can move on. Let's go.
All right, so let's go over to New England going on the road against the Saints. I really feel bad for the Saints right now because, I mean, we're all about to witness a murder, right? This couldn't be any more predictable, right?
Yeah, I think so. I do think though that there's a chance it could be a shootout. I mean, New England's defense isn't exactly stout. I mean, at least last week they didn't show it. Hopefully they've sorted up the issues. I'm sure Bill Belichick was harder than this week. But yeah, I mean, this game could go one of two ways for me. It could go into a complete shootout because Drew Brees is Drew Brees, or it could just go completely one-sided affair and New England just destroys them.
I mean, I'm taking the latter on that one. I mean, what we've seen week 1, that's not typically your New England Patriots defense. I'm not buying that. We've seen this last year when they lost in their season opener, people freaking out, and then next week they're just fine. Not worried about it. Non-factor. You're firing up Tom Brady. Mike Gilsey, he's your touchdown-dependent RB2. I think, though, he will get a lot more work in this one if, New England can keep a lead. So, I mean, you're firing up Gilsey if you have him. James White has some appeal in PPR leagues. I think if you're in a PPR league, you could maybe slide him into the flex.
I want to say something about James White, though. I think personally that he could be, even in non-PPR leagues, I'd start White because, and I'll tell you, I'm just saying, he had the league lead in receptions last week, and, I mean, I really liked what I've seen with him. I think that the Patriots really want to go to him more than they want to go to Gillislee. They're really only using Gillislee for short yardage situations. I think other than that, I mean, for me, James White, and he's going to, I think, oh, man, all the other pass-catching backs, with the Saints or against the Saints, they have always fared well. I think that James White's a guy that could get you 20 points this week in a standard league.
You can always tell a James White owner when you hear him.
Yeah, I know.
No, there was some talk about, getting Rex Burkhead a little bit more involved. That's a situation where, I'll believe it when I see it. I think that he could end up taking the back seat in this one, but they have New England has currently right now Julian Edelman's out for the year, Malcolm Mitchell's out for the year, Danny Amendola is not going to be available this week. They may just use Rex in the slot. That might be a real thing that happens. You definitely have to keep an eye out for that.
I heard about that. I definitely heard that, and I was like, I did a double take. I was like, really? Well, all right, let's see it.
Well, it makes sense. They're down 3 wide receivers. They are forced to trade for Philip Dorsett because of this. They got to put somebody in there.
Yeah, I think this bodes well more for Chris Hogan than anybody. I mean, with the loss of Amendola, those targets have to go somewhere.
I like that.
I
yes.
like Chris Hogan this week.
Chris Hogan is a good start this week. I like Chris Hogan because he could play all 3 wide receiver positions. He could play him at the X. You could play him in the slot. I like Hogan this week. You got to think. Think about this though. With all these injuries to the New England wide receivers, they may opt to go to more 2 tight end sets, and maybe that could bring some relevance to a guy that I know you hate, Dwayne Allen.
I hate that fucker.
I know you do. That's why I brought him up. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. We got Drew Brees. He's going to do Drew Brees things. We're not worried about that. Everyone's so worried about this running back committee that they have here. Let me break it down for you a little bit. So, Alvin Kamara led this backfield in snaps last week, led them in carries, led them in yards. He played 31 snaps to Mark Ingram's 26 snaps. Adrian Peterson, who drew the start, only played 9 snaps. We've seen how mad he was about that. He wanted to play against his old team, and they're like, sorry, dude, we're losing. You're going to take the back seat. And that's going to happen this year. If the Saints are losing, AP is going to see a lot of snaps lost, and it's going to be Alvin Kamara in. It's going to be Mark Ingram in. I picked up Kamara because of this. I want nothing to do with AP. I thought it was always a dumb draft pick when I seen him getting drafted. I thought, why the fuck is this guy going before Ingram? And it just never made sense to me.
Yeah, you know what? While we're on the subject here about that Saints backfield, I'm going to give my 2 cents. I think you made a great ad, by the way, with Kamara. I was going to snag him if you didn't, so good job. Kudos to you. I think you got a real gem on your team there. I think that's going to be dangerous come playoff time. However, for right now, Mark Ingram definitely has the safest floor out of anybody. I like him this week. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. AP, just please, he's dead. Leave him on your bench, please.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mark Ingram. You're going to plug him in. I would try to squeeze him into the flex if you have another player that has a good matchup in there, because he could still do some snaps. But if you have Mark Ingram, you're playing him. Michael Thomas is going to have a good game. Do you think a guy like Ted Ginn could have some relevance in this one?
Yeah.
I mean, they forgot all about Tyreek Hill, so maybe.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, hey, it might fit his skill set. So, he's a speedster, and he also, I mean, the thing is, though, you got to worry about, if he gets all the way past defense, is he going to catch the ball? That's a real. I
think fuck Ted Ginn, because the real winner of the Willie Snead suspension is Coby Fleener. We've seen him. He's probably the only good player the Saints had last week. And if you picked up Coby Fleener off the waiver wire this week, yes, go ahead, start him. He's playing the Patriots. I know they've shut Travis Kelce down, but that was their game plan. They're not going to game plan, we need to stop Fleener. That's not a thing. If you have Fleener, go ahead, play him against the Patriots. Do it.
I like your logic.
Let's go over to the Eagles are going out on the road to play the Chiefs. Who do you like in this one? I think this could be a close game, actually.
Yeah, I think that it could too. It's just going to depend. It's going to be nice to see former coach and assistant coach duo, and now they're both head coaches, so that's cool. However, I'm more interested to see, are the Chiefs, are they as good as advertised against the Patriots, or are they, what? Like, I want to see, are they for real,
some people are a little bit worried about Kansas City's defense because, they did give up some yards, but to me, they look good against the Patriots. I would not worry about them. Are you if you have Carson Wentz, are you starting them against Kansas City? Probably not, but I think this is going to be a team that's going to struggle to run the ball this year, and it's gonna. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is good or not, but they're going to rely on Carson Wentz's arm this year, whether they like it or not. So, I think he'll have some volume in this one.
Yeah, I think that they got to see what they have right now. So, interesting. For me though, I will say I don't think I'll be starting Alshon Jeffrey this week, just because I want to see how they use him, because I know last week.
Well, he's probably going to draw Marcus Peters too, so it's not a great matchup.
Yeah, exactly. I think I want to sit him on my bench if I have better options this week.
But we touched on Nelson Aguilar a little bit last week. I'm probably not a guy I'm starting this week, but you pick him up. Good on you. See how he does. Not a guy I'm starting this week. Garrett Blount, he's I think he's still like an RB2 that's dependent on touchdowns. This is a tougher team to run against, though. I wouldn't feel comfortable playing Blount. How do you feel about this backfield? You should feel like shit.
I feel like shit, yeah. I think that the only guy that I'm even that really thinking about, if you have Blount, you're probably going to fire him up in the flex, and just hope he gets a touchdown. But at the end of the day, really the only other guy that I even has fantasy relevance anymore is, old ass Darren Sproles. He's still got some pep in his step. He's really, to me, he's only valuable in PPR leagues, because of what he catches.
Yep.
Other than that, nobody relevant.
Zachary Ertz, you're firing him up as a tight end one. This is a guy that got a lot of targets last week. He's not typically a guy that's going to score you a touchdown, but I think he will have a safe enough floor from week to week where he's going to be your tight end one all year long,
I think so too. I feel really good about Zach Ertz, and he's burnt me before, but I think that maybe it's my time to open my arms and trust him.
Well, maybe he's coming into his own. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. Alex Smith, I view him as more of a QB2. You're not starting him despite what he did last week. I honestly probably wouldn't even endorse picking him up because you probably already have a QB1. What's the point?
Yeah, in a 12-team league, I can think of 12 quarterbacks that are better than him. So,
Kareem Wheat-Hunt, lock him in as an RB1 this week. I think if you have Tyreek Hill, this is a week where he could duplicate what he did against the Patriots last week. This is a very burnable secondary that he's going up against. I don't think they really have the speed on defense to match him, and he could give them some issues. So I'm endorsing you putting Tyreek Hill into your flex. Go ahead and do that. Obviously, if you have Travis Kelce, you're firing him up too, and that's pretty much all Kansas City has.
That's it.
Let's go over to Buffalo going on the road against Carolina. Buffalo is 7-point dogs on the road. The over and under is set at 43. I'll be definitely going with Carolina in this one, obviously. Cam Newton, he's going to be a QB1 this week. Buffalo does not have a scary defense whatsoever. I think, though, that Jonathan Stewart, he's an actual thing that's going to happen this year. I'm not saying he's going to put up any crazier numbers. He's going to be an RB3, and he's obviously going to be a guy that's not going to score a lot of touchdowns or catch a lot of passes. But I think he's going to rack up a lot of carries this year that people thought might have gone to Christian McCaffrey, which was never going to be the case.
Yeah, well, for all of Christian McCaffrey's strength, he's not an extremely big guy. He's only just over 200 pounds. I think last time I saw him listed was 205. So he's not a really big back. They need a ball stuffer, which is Jonathan Stewart, and I think that he's honestly, to me, he's more of a touchdown-dependent RB3. That's what he is to me. Christian McCaffrey, though, in a PPR league is going to be very valuable for you this year. But, yeah, I think that – and also, it doesn't help that Ron Rivera also said that, they might be limiting McCaffrey snaps. So that doesn't sound too appealing, but I still think that Christian McCaffrey has a very productive season this year, especially in PPR format.
Yeah, I still think you could put C-Mac in the flex this week. A thing that I think we'll start to see more and more as the season goes on is Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart on the field at the same time. I think we'll see a lot more of that this year because it provides a little bit of unpredictability for that offense. If they're both on the field at the same time, you don't know if it's going to be a run. You don't know if it's going to be a pass. And they can also do some read options out of some packages like that. It could cause some problems for some defenses. So, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of that this week against Buffalo, but it's definitely something that you could look forward to this season.
Yeah, but as far as Jonathan Stewart goes, I definitely think that the thing is real this year. I think that's going to be a thing unless he gets hurt.
Yeah. Kelvin Benjamin, I see him more as like a wide receiver 3 this week.
Your hate of him is well documented.
Yeah, Funchess, he's off my radar. Olsen, you can plug him up. Is there anything you want to mention about Carolina, their receiving options?
Move on.
Okay, let's go over to the other side of the ball. Tyrod Taylor, I'm not starting him this week. Obviously, he had a decent week last week as far as fantasy is concerned. But I'm not starting against Carolina. I think Carolina could have a pretty good defense this year. I'm a little bit concerned about that. Outside of LaShawn McCoy, there's probably not anyone else on this team that I really want to start. Maybe Charles Clay, like a fringe tight end 1, like a high-end tight end 2 maybe. But I'm not starting anyone else,
Yeah, I'm about the same as you are. I think that the only one that I'm even considering is Clay. So, yeah, I think we can move on.
Yeah, Zay Jones, Jordan Matthews at this point are just like wide receiver 5 dart throws that I want nothing to do with. So let's go on to Tennessee going on the road against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is 3-point underdogs at home. The over and under set at 42. I do agree with Vegas. I think this could be a low-scoring game. I ultimately see Tennessee pulling away with this one and covering the spread. Who do you like in this one as far as players go for Tennessee?
I'll tell you, I do like Corey Davis. I think that he started coming into his own already. Week 1 for his rookie debut. I think it's going to carry over to this one. I think I like Delaney Walker too in this one. I think that he'll be productive, and I definitely like DeMarco Murray.
When I look at these wide receivers, I view the Titans as having 3 receivers that are all wide receiver 4s because you really don't know exactly how it's going to unfold right now. Corey Davis, although he had a very nice rookie debut, he still played in less snaps than Eric Decker and Rashard Matthews. But when he was on the field, he was getting targeted, which is kind of surprising because he was coming off a hamstring injury. But that is encouraging. But I'm holding off the brakes before I play any of these players. Delaney Walker, I've never been on Delaney Walker this year. I just think that there's so many options on that team. You can't have 4 to 5 consistent receiving options on a football team, and people need to realize that it's not going to work out. Like, there's going to be people that are going to be left out of this offense.
Right, exactly, which is why I was never a fan of drafting Eric Decker, Rashard Matthews, any of those guys, because, you just really don't know. And same with Delaney Walker. The reason I think that he's going to be open this week is because, somebody's going to get the Jalen Ramsey treatment. But I think that Delaney Walker finds a way to get open, and he's a favorite of Mariota's. So that's my logic behind it. And I think that DeMarco Murray, he's going to get back on track this week.
I got DeMarco Murray penciled in as a RB1. If you have Henry, you're still waiting on him right now. You're not doing anything with him. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. I mean, it'll be pretty fast. Blake Bortles, don't even have to mention anything about him. I think Leonard Fournette is a volume-based RB2 at this point. I don't think he's going to find a ton of running room against Tennessee. Tennessee does have a pretty decent run defense, but I still think on volume alone, Fournette will probably be like an RB2. And as far as anyone else, I mean, as receivers are concerned, like Marquise Lee, Alan Hearns are both like to me at this point because I just don't see Jacksonville attempting a lot of passes this year. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that head coach Doug Marrone, I think that he's just he's in the attitude of like let's try to win it with the run and the defense, and if we have to pass it, we're only going to do it in situations that we need to because he's seen Blake Bortles, he knows what he has. He's not gonna go there. He's not gonna play that card unless he absolutely has to.
Yeah. Let's go over to Arizona going on the road against Indianapolis. Indianapolis 7.5-point underdogs at home. The disrespect. Over and under set at 44. I mean, no brainer. We're gonna go with Arizona in this one. I think Carson Palmer. I originally had him as my stream of the week, and I think I could probably still keep him there. I'll make my official pick tomorrow because I was going to have him as my stream of the week, but John Brown is going to be ruled out for week 2. Despite a juicy matchup, he's still kind of laggy. He kind of needs some weapons there too, So I mean, a little bit concerned about that. Obviously, if you're really happy if you're a Larry Fitzgerald owner though, and maybe just maybe. You could throw J.J. Nelson in there as a dart throw. If you're like a big underdog or something, he could have an explosion week.
Yeah, you never know. I think you have better options, though, as far as J.J. Nelson goes. I think that he might be, if he has a big game like you're saying, I think that he'll be a hot waiver pickup next week.
Well, he scored a touchdown last week.
Yeah, hey, that's very true. I'm just saying, if he blows up this week, you know who's going on the waiver wire. Larry Fitzgerald to me is going to be the offense this week. Kerwin Williams, I'm really not starting him unless you're forced to or you don't really have any better options to flex. This backfield's going to be a mess. It's going to be nice to see how this shakes out first. If I picked him up off the waiver wire, I'm definitely not starting him this week unless if I can help it. And that's pretty much it. And I guess we'll see John Brown's status, come Saturday night.
I mean, well, John Brown's definitely. Or you said Jerron Brown?
No, John Brown yet.
Oh, he's out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a quad injury. He's out. As far as his backfield's concerned, I mean, if you're like a David Johnson owner, and since maybe you had David Johnson and you didn't, draft a bunch of running backs to go with him. Maybe you're forced to start Kerwin Williams, but I'd really try to avoid that if I could. It's going to be an ugly committee. You got Kerwin Williams. They signed Chris Johnson. They got Andre Ellington. You don't know what that's going to look like. I'd stay away from that. If we go to the other side of the ball, you're not starting any Colts. You're just not doing it. I mean, maybe T.Y. Hilton. I mean, they got Jacoby Brissett. He's going to make the start. They said, fuck you, Scott Tolzien. You can't move the ball, so we're going to put Jacoby Brissett in. At least he can run a little bit, So maybe that helps out Frank Gore a little bit, but I'm not interested in Frank Gore. I don't feel confident enough to pull the trigger out of Marlon Mack. Maybe if I have T.Y. Hilton, I feel obligated to start him because of his draft capital. But even then, I'm still not comfortable with that, He's going against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I did this for that very reason. When I found out that, Andrew Luck wasn't going to be ready for start of season, I was like, I'm not drafting T.Y. Hilton in any leagues. And you should have been the same.
And it's a shame.
But if you were that guy that was still like, T.Y. Hilton, what's going wrong, then yeah, you're right. You probably have invested the draft capital and you're going to obviously start him. Or, I don't know what you're going to do, but, you might. So, I don't know. But yeah, you're not starting any Colts.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I love T.Y. Hilton. And I was all over him in the second round. I was on him early second round until I heard about oh, well, the Colts are a terrible organization, so then they had to wait on surgery for Luck, and it's really biting them in the ass now. I'm not happy with the Colts this year. Is there anything else you want to mention about that game?
Let's move on.
All right. Let's do Washington going on the road against the Rams, going to L.A. L.A. favored by 3 at home. Over and under is 46. Who do you like in this one? This is a game where this is classic overreaction for week 1. Oh, my God, the Cincinnati Bengals are horrible because they played 2 good defenses, but the Rams are the best ever because they played the Colts. How do you feel about this game for real, though?
Oh, I feel the same as you, Johnny. I'm actually really ticked off, though, that the Redskins aren't getting a little more respect. Everybody's overreacting. They're like, wow, Kirk Cousins, he's really struggling, with all this new stuff and all these new receivers, and there's just this narrative being played that's just simply not there. Kirk Cousins is going to be fine this year. You have him. You're starting him.
Well,
I feel
it doesn't help. It doesn't help when Pryor's not catching the ball either. I mean, didn't Pryor? He dropped a touchdown pass. I know he dropped another one that was crucial. Like that doesn't help either.
No, and it doesn't. But I'm still firing Kirk Cousins up. I have no doubts about that. I'm still firing Terrell Pryor up. I think that they'll get on the same page. And as far as running backs go, Rob Kelly to me isn't exactly a safe play, but he does have some nice flex appeal and it's going to be very volume based. But week 1 wasn't good for him. So me personally, I'm a little bullish on him right now, and he is what he is. He's not a very talented back, but he's the guy that has the opportunity right now. So,
and I know right now, this week I'm not firing up. I'm not firing up Kelly at all. And I know right now if you're a Samaje Perine owner, you feel like he's just taking a big fat shit on your chest. It's something that you're gonna have to wait out. Like he's not a particularly fast running back either, but it seems like the game's kind of moving a little bit fast for him. He does not possess great agility, and I think that could hurt him at the NFL game. So I'm sorry I was so bullish on him. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm not starting anyone in this backfield. I feel more comfortable with Jamison Crowder this week than I did last week because now he's getting in full reps at practice. And last week, he was a late entry to the practice report, and it showed in this game he didn't do shit. I'm feeling a lot better about him this week going against the Rams. I know the Rams have a defense that can be tough, a little bit tough to read them this week, right now though, because they played the Colts week 1 without Andrew Luck. So who knows what they have over there,
Yeah, the Rams to me too is like they're the new darlings of the NFL. They're LA, and it's like, and now everybody wants to shoot Jared Goff. Oh my God, wow, he actually is good. See, and then now we're getting this narrative forced down our throats. Well, we simply don't know. He played a horribly anemic Colts defense. We have no idea what we're really working with here. And honestly, I don't think that Washington has a super horrible defense, but for me, I'm still pretty bullish on the Rams though, because it's like I don't know what is real Jared Goff,
Yeah, I mean this is a Washington defense where nothing really stands out about them. I think Josh Norman makes a weak secondary average, so they're not a terrible secondary just because they have Norman. But I mean, overall, it's not really a team that has any strength per se. But I think they'll have enough to shut down the Rams. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not a Rams offense. I'm not believing in their offense yet. You do it against the more credible defense. I guess Washington can do. I mean, I'm not really bullish on Washington's defense at all, but yeah, I think the only guy I would really merit starting this week on the Rams is a guy like Todd Gurley, but even then I'm not really that excited when Todd Gurley only averaged 2 yards a carry against the Colts. That's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, that's hashtag bad. That's like Wow, where did Todd Gurley go from 2 years ago, man?
I mean, you've seen on the message board, I put pictures of what Todd Gurley's seen coming in out of that backfield, and there's Colts 3, 4, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage blowing plays up. Like, you're not going to run the ball very well if that's happening, you know? I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I think it's too much predictable game script. Like, teams already know that he's going to be running it before he's actually running it. And he hasn't proven to this point that he can break the game open. And really talented backs will find a way, like, you know, AP in his heyday, he could break games open, you know, like just by himself. Because, you know, Minnesota didn't have a really respectable passing game, but he would find a way. And so Todd Gurley, to be a successful NFL back, he's got to find a way to break the game open and make it his own. And to this point,
it's hard to break the game open when you got guys 5 yards in the backfield.
Yeah, that's true. And it's hard when you have a guy like Jared Goff on the ball, because if I'm an NFL defense, I'm going to be like, fucking beat me through the air. Like, I'll shut down Todd Gurley. I want to see if you can beat me through the air.
That's probably what they'll have to do. I mean, I would like to think that Sammy Watkins is going to draw a lot of Josh Norman, and that could do a lot in taking away Sammy Watkins in this game. I know all of a sudden now Cooper Kupp's like a guy that's been getting a lot of attention. So are you liking a guy like Cooper Kupp in this game?
It's a tough one. I don't really know how I fully feel about Cooper Kupp yet, but like I was saying on the message board, it seems like, you know, to me, especially in preseason, he was just getting peppered with the ball. So I think that maybe now that you know, Jared Goff's taking him out for that first regular season test drive, maybe he might open him up a little more. It's just going to remain to be seen. Really, you know, the only guy he's really fighting for targets is Sammy Watkins, because, you know, who else does he have? Robert Woods. I mean, you can just write him off.
I mean, didn't the LA Rams just become the Buffalo Bills over the off season?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, they're built pretty much the same way. maybe a better defense, but Cooper Kupp, obviously, he had 6 targets last week. Sammy Watkins had 5. I'm not playing Cooper Kupp this week. I'm not doing it. I mean, if you have on your bench, that's great. Congratulations, you just picked up Austin Collie. And if you don't like the white-on-white reference, then fine. Cooper Kupp is Jericho Cotchery. That's what you got.
Yeah, I agree.
Not a great athlete, but he'll catch some passes. Let's go over to Green Bay going on the road against Atlanta, the ATL. You know, they struggled with the Bears in Week 1. Well, maybe a little bit of hangover from losing the Super Bowl. Maybe it has a little bit to do with losing the offensive coordinator. Matt Ryan did say they're still getting up to full speed over there. They are favored at home, though, by 3 against the Packers. I'm not quite sold on them beating the Packers, though.
Yeah, I actually, you know, to me, I'm starting all the, you know, pretty much all the Falcons with confidence this week. I think that last week was kind of an outlier week. It was very surprising to see Green Bay actually have a fieldable defense. And, you know, you have to remember, too, it's their new dome. You know, it's the home opener. It's their new dome. It's going to be crazy. And Matt Ryan.
I wish I could get some dome right now.
Oh, I'll bet you do, man. I'll bet you do. But I think that Matt Ryan is going to definitely be getting some dome action, because it seems like every single time he plays in the dome, he ends up having a fucking phenomenal game. So I think that the game.
Well, hopefully I can get in on that action too. We can become like Eskimo brothers.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Let's get in that dome action.
I was getting some head. Getting some head. Yeah, I mean, obviously if you have any Green Bay Packer players or Atlanta Falcon players this week, you're not even going to watch the game. You're just going to sit home and jerk off to all the fantasy points you're about to score, because I think there's going to be a lot of fireworks in this one. This is a game that has the highest. It normally it would have the highest over and under. It's at 54.5, but the Patriots play the Saints, so that's at 56.5. But there's still plenty. There's gonna be plenty of fireworks to go around here. I think you can get real crazy in this one if you can start Matt Ryan. You can start both the running backs. You're starting Julio Jones. I think you could start a guy like Taylor Gabriel in this one. I think Taylor Gabriel will have a role in this one, especially if you're in a DFS tourney. If you're in a tourney play, I think that's a great play. Is Taylor Gabriel, or maybe if you're a big dog in your matchup, Taylor Gabriel. There's going to be a lot of points given in this one. And if you can just have that one clinging hope that he's going to bust a long one and give you 20 points, you just need that to get your nut, and then you'll be good,
I agree.
On the other side of the ball, you got Green Bay. We're feeling pretty comfortable over on this side of the ball as well. You're going to fire up Rodgers. Would you feel comfortable starting all three of Green Bay's wide receivers?
Obviously, I'm going to start Nelson. Obviously, I'm going to start. I'm definitely starting Adams and Cobb. I think I probably start Cobb too in the flex. I don't think that's a bad option.
Yeah, I think they're all great. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I wouldn't even hesitate. I'd just do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a starter that has a less than stellar matchup, go for it.
Yeah.
Take a chance. It's early. Take a chance.
Right? Especially if you won week one, just fucking go for it, man.
Scared people won't win at all, Let's go over to the Monday Nighter. We got Detroit. They're taking on the Giants. This is a road game for the Lions. They don't, interesting fact, my pops actually told me this one. The Detroit Lions do not play a single back-to-back home game this year. That kind of sucks. But the Giants, they're favored by 3 at home, and the over-under's at 43. I think this could be a low-scoring game, but it's going to be a low-scoring game that the Lions are going to end up winning, because even if the Giants have Odell Beckham, which it does sound like they're going to have him, but he's not going to. I don't think he's going to be at 100%. There was a report that came out yesterday saying that he's been dealing with a 6 to 8 week injury, and he's been dealing with it for about a month now. So he might be close to 100%, but he's definitely not there yet. And I think I'd rather them just sit him. And this is a game where it's a Monday Nighter, and there's only that one Monday night game. You're not going to have a backup plan in case for some reason he doesn't show up. You're not going to have a backup plan, so you really got to think in advance for this one. If you have Odell Beckham, are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling strong about playing him this week against Detroit? Obviously, it's a good matchup, but he could be a decoy.
Yeah, and that's what my thought process is too. I think that the reason they're trying to press him out there is just so he can draw some coverage, because he automatically mandates double coverage when he's on the field. So maybe New York's going to mix him in there a little bit, and try to situationally place him so that they can get somebody else open down the field. I'm not starting Odell Beckham no matter what this week. I think even if unless I hear like a stellar report saying, oh wow, he's it looks like he's in great. I don't even think then I would start him. I think that I'm leaving him on my bench this week. I'm just rather set my lineup now and worry about it later, and not put him in there and then have to worry about what's going to happen. And then think about it. You put your eggs in that basket, and then you're waiting for that Monday night game, and you hear he can't go, and then you just wasted a spot that you could have started somebody on Sunday. So I'm not doing it. And on the same page, if he does sit, I think that kind of, for me, helps out Sterling Shepard. But Brandon Marshall, to me,
done.
Oh yeah, he looks fried, man. He couldn't even get involved when Odell Beckham wasn't in last week. So I don't think it's going to get any better for him this week. And as you said already about the running backs, what are they? They're working with Paul Perkins and Shane Vereen. I like Shane Vereen a hell of a lot more, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty. I pretty much agree with everything you said on Odell Beckham. If this was, say, a week 14 or a week 15 matchup, or maybe it's for the championship, I might roll the dice and play Odell Beckham because, he's probably what got you there. But in week 2, wins are so precious. You need the wins to get to the playoffs. You know what I mean? I'm probably not playing. I'm not playing Beckham. I'm not doing it. If he explodes on my bench, good. Then now you'll be in my lineup next week. But I'm not playing Beckham because I think he will be less than 100%. He will be a decoy more than anything, and it's gonna hurt you if you play him this week, I think. So I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, and not to mention, like I was saying too, just think about that. If you put your eggs in that basket, you think he's going to do it. You better be hearing some encouraging reports on like Saturday night, before I'm even willing to even think about it. But I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and really the only other guy I do want to talk about on the Giants would be a Sterling Shepard, because you just said Brandon Marshall looks fried. I think Sterling Shepard could get some work out of the slot in this one, especially if Beckham is not 100% or if he's totally unable to go all together. I do like Sterling Shepard. That's it. I don't like Eli. I don't like the running backs. Really, no tight end to speak of. That's it.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
No, it really is. That's it. There's no more games. That was the last one. Right. That's it. Let's go over. I did forget, though. We didn't talk about Detroit. We almost pulled a fast one on you, fifth downers, but we caught ourselves. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. Detroit. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. The Giants still do have a good defense. You have Matthew Stafford. If you start him, first off, you're brave, because I don't see him having a ton of success in this one. But you go ahead. You can go ahead and you can probably get by with starting him. I don't think it's going to hurt you too bad. But you're not starting Amir Abdullah, and I feel good about Golden Tate because of the role that he plays. But one of those wide receivers is going to get a monster on him, and it's going to cause some havoc for the Detroit's passing offense. I do, however, still like Theo Riddick this week.
Yeah, I'm the same with you. I like Theo Riddick. I'm not too high on Matthew Stafford. I think that another guy that I'm feeling good about. I'm actually, believe it or not, feeling good about Kenny Golladay this week. I think that he'll find a way to get open.
It's going to be kind of either Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones that could get because I mean, they have Eli Apple, who I think they might try to attack. So yeah, I think whoever he guards, that's where the ball is going to go a lot of times,
Exactly, and one of these receivers is probably going to end up having a good game. I mean, one of them will. I don't think it's Marvin Jones. I think Golden Tate's fine. It sounds like his finger's okay, or I think it was his thumb or something that was injured. But I think that Kenny Golladay could get involved here. One of these receivers will be productive this week, though. But it's kind of going to be how is your bench looking? What are your other flex options? I think.
Would you fire up Golladay in a flex position?
I think I would. Yeah, depending on my bench.
I mean, you're obviously, if you're playing him because you're believing into the upside. He did lose some snaps to T.J. Jones, but he's a rookie. It's going to happen. His playing time can only go up, I think. And this guy keeps on making plays when he's on the field. It's going to be hard to keep him off.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that the coaches see that too, and I'm definitely seeing it. So I say fire him up. If we're going to go off of a comparison, I would rather start him over Cooper Kupp, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on board with that. Last week we kind of seen him take over, especially he had that red zone target. Eric Ebron, however, only had 3 targets. Is he less important in this offense than maybe people think?
I mean, yeah, based off of week 1. I mean, I've never really been too high on Ebron. I've never been a believer of him. It's going to remain to be seen with me until I see more out of him. I'm not firing him up. I told you this earlier in the week. I would rather drop Ebron, and I would rather pick up Charles Clay right now because he's on the waiver wire in a bunch of leagues. I would just rather do that, honestly.
Yeah, let's just say if Kenny Galladay, if he is like a real thing, like, and they're gonna be they're forced to play him more, the Lions may opt to go to a lot of 3 wide receivers. I know they actually played a lot of 3 wide receivers last year. They may continue to just keep doing that, and that could cut into Eric Ebron's production. That's worrisome. So that's why I kind of brought the topic up a little bit. I don't think Ebron's worth starting this week. That pretty much would cover that game. Who do you like to win this game?
This is a tough one to call because this is one of those games where really, it's a crapshoot on, who you call because this could be a game where, we don't know. But I would say my money is on Detroit right now. I think that they have a better overall team, and I like what I've seen against the Cardinals. And the other thing, too, is New York just god-awful, man. I think this could be a really bad year for them. I think, I might be overreacting here, but, man, they could finish at the bottom of the NFC East stellar, to be honest with you.
Detroit, their defense surprised me a little bit week 1. They showed up with the pass rush. They picked off Carson Palmer 3 times. Like, that, their defense did kind of surprise me a little bit week 1, so that's definitely a game I'll be watching. I'll be drunk, though, but I'll be watching it.
Yeah. So my last question, though, is: are you a Lions fan now?
No, I'm a Lions critic. Is what more than anything.
Right. Okay. What if they were legit Super Bowl contenders? Would you be a hashtag Lions fan?
I know I'd be hashtag at the Super Bowl.
Oh, you would go. If the Lions in the Super Bowl, you go.
Yeah, I'd go. I would sell body parts to go to a Super Bowl because I know if the Lions go to the Super Bowl, my pops is a big Lions fan. I know that he's gonna want to go to that game, so I'm gonna have to prostitute myself out to get those tickets.
Yeah, I figure you would, man. They're gonna cost a pretty penny. You know what, man? If I wasn't in the military, I think when Denver was playing, I think I would have gone. So hell, fuck it.
Yeah. That's you're being held down by Uncle Sam, man. You got to break loose those chains, man.
Yep, I'm gonna break the chains, man.
Yeah, just another year. But if you guys enjoyed the show, please look us up on iTunes, The Fifth Down Fantasy Football. Leave us a rate and review. We are also found on Spreaker, Stitcher. And you can find us on Twitter at the Fifth Down FF. We are very, very involved on Twitter. You can ask us your starting sit questions. You can start asking us about trade questions. I know that some people were asking about Tyreek Hill. Is he a sell high candidate? And I said yeah.
I think that too, by the way.
But yeah, so. We got a lot of things coming down the pipe, so please keep in touch with us, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you, and good night, Fifth Downers.